Welcome to the Open Space and Ecology Committee meeting of July 24, 2024. We're going to start with a roll call. Mary Rogers?
Here.
Michelle Salmon?
Here.
Aaron Becker is here. Jason Noonan?
Here.
And Barbara Bell? Here. We're currently missing Glenn Feldman, but I wouldn't doubt if she comes soon. Next up, adopt the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda as published.
Second the motion.
Jason seconded. Can we do we have to do a roll vote? No. No.
All in favor?
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very good. We will move forward with the agenda. Announcements. This is the public announcements, right?
Sorry, no, this is your committee announcements. Oral communications next is public.
Got it. Okay, so announcements. I'm curious to know how the Habitat Day went.
Won't we cover that in?
Yes, probably.
Okay.
Any other announcements?
Yes, this Saturday, the Mission Blue Nursery Mountain Watch is hosting a makerspace. And so it's been published on the website, on mountainwatch.org, and also on the city of Brisbane has published it in the blast. So it should be really fun and a nice alternative to spend to the Great Garage Sale, which is also Saturday.
Excellent. Anything else? Moving on to oral communications. Anything from the public or on the Zoom from the public?
Nobody on Zoom.
We do. We do?
Yes, you have a hand raised. I'm not very good at this. Chris, go ahead.
Hi there, Chris Lorkowski here. Thank you so much for letting me drop this in. On the Facebook page for Resident Brisbane, I noticed that periodically we go through these phases of people asking, is this recyclable? Is this recyclable? Can I recycle this? And I would like to suggest that we host a quarterly, I'm thinking, Zoom call with South San Francisco Scavenger joining us, either Teresa or somebody as knowledgeable as she is, to have a Zoom call that we could invite the public to join in and bring their questions about recycling and waste and plastic and the like. Thank you.
Would anyone like to respond to that great idea from Chris?
Generally, a response to public comments is something you would have to consider agendizing for a future meeting. You can't take action on something that's not on the agenda.
Got it. Can I give Chris a hint that she should look at our calendar that's at the end of this meeting? All right, Chris, hint. There's a calendar at the end of this meeting of our upcoming yearly events. Any other oral communications?
Well, I was just going to say also, I've run into that same problem myself. And if you call South San Francisco Scavengers, they will tell you the appropriate thing to do with the item in question.
Perfect.
And they're really good about it.
I would also just add that Scavenger's website has a section called Sort Smart that is my go-to resource when I don't know, and it is quite helpful and quite comprehensive. So someone who has access to the Residents of Brisbane Facebook page might want to consider sharing that Sort Smart Scavenger link.
Maybe this is would be a good article for the Star.
Based on Adrian's comment earlier, I think we should talk about this when we get to our subcommittee discussions. Yeah. Moving on to approval of the minutes. I couldn't figure out why I wasn't at the last meeting, and it's because we didn't have the last meeting. We skipped June, and so we're going back to May.
Did we want to confirm there were no other oral communications?
Were there any other
First.
oral communications? And can we go back to announcements? Because Glenn has arrived.
Sorry to tell you all, but I am leaving the Open Space and Ecology Committee effective at the end of next month. I'll come to the next meeting and that will be the last one.
I'm not sure we're hearing you on the microphone.
Is it? Does anybody need me to repeat that?
Probably.
I'm leaving the Open Space Committee effective at the end of next month. I'll come to the next meeting and that will be my last one.
Glenn, we wish you the best in your future endeavors, and we're very sorry to see you leave. That's a bummer.
Thank you. Well,
I'm sad.
they were going to give me tenure if I stayed much longer, so it's time.
Oh my God.
Okay, the committee recomposes itself. Approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes from the May meeting.
I second the motion.
Mary Rogers?
Aye.
Oh, wait, we
Wait.
decided we could just do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All in favor?
All in
right?
favor?
Yeah. Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Did we
Opposed
have
to Glenn
any
leaving, but
abstentions?
Oh, any abstentions?
Okay.
Excellent. Moving on to new business. We are going to do a reach code presentation.
This is going to be a short presentation because these have passed, but because of the cancellation last month, we didn't get to really bring them forward to the whole committee. I know the Building Decarbonization Subcommittee saw them in a slightly earlier draft, although I think what we ended up putting forward wasn't probably all that different from what you saw, besides for a few tweaks around the edges and the fact that the two pieces got combined into one ordinance. So we did have that on the council agenda last Thursday, and they passed unanimously. So very happy to say that this will be proceeding forward at this point in time. There are essentially three parts to the REACH code ordinance. The first part was to repeal the all-electric requirements for new buildings that we had on the books. We originally had adopted requirements for all-electric new buildings in 2019 and had slightly amended them with the 2022 code cycle. The Ninth Circuit Court's ruling in the Berkeley v. California Restaurant Association case, which became final in January, effectively made those unenforceable. So we wanted to go ahead and repeal them and replace them with something that is effectively the next best thing that the kind of community of green building advocates thinks is the strongest thing that we can legally still do. So that was the second piece, was the addition of Chapter 15.83, the New Building Energy Performance REACH Code. So it continues to encourage highly efficient and or electric buildings, and I'll talk slightly more about how we do that in the next slide. But it's essentially a performance standard that requires new buildings to be more efficient than the state minimum code while continuing to be cost effective. It's kind of just going back to the way we used to do REACH codes before we made them simpler and just said, just be all electric. So we're kind of going back to that. And the other piece of that is that because new buildings with natural gas are allowed again, because of this legal situation, we require electric readiness for new buildings that do have natural gas. So they can still put in natural gas, but there's some economic disincentive to do so because they have to put in the electric infrastructure anyway. I will say there is also economic disincentive to build a new building with natural gas now because the CPUC has removed subsidies for mixed fuel buildings. So that infrastructure to the new building is entirely on the cost of the building owner or developer if they do decide to put in natural gas in a new building. So kind of two pieces of economic disincentive that we hope are going to together still push most buildings to be all electric, except for those cases where, it really isn't feasible. And then the third part of the REACH code is an amendment to our electric vehicle infrastructure requirements. Basically, the state had adopted an intervening code that became effective on July 1st. We had a REACH code, the state had an intervening code, and some parts of ours were better and some parts of theirs were better, and it would have required developers of new buildings to kind of meet the most stringent aspects of both, and would probably be a bit confusing because of the structure of the new code. So we wanted to just update ours to make sure we were at least meeting the state's bar in every case, so that they could just look at our REACH code, and hopefully that would be simpler thing to do. So really all of this was kind of in response to outside forces, not necessarily something that we ginned up on our own. So a little bit more about the energy performance piece of the code. As I said, this is going back to the way we used to do REACH codes pre-all-electric requirement days. The enhanced performance requirements apply equally to mixed fuel buildings that have natural gas and electric, and all-electric buildings. And they are cost-effectively achievable through the Energy Code's performance pathway without requiring appliances. Oh, lovely. Hopefully that's not going to make this close. Cost-effectively achievable through the Energy Code's performance pathway without requiring appliances that exceed the federal energy efficiency standards. And so basically that's in reaction to that lawsuit. So there are a couple different metrics that a new building already has to calculate as part of their Title 24 Energy Code energy modeling. And basically this sets a bar that is cost effective. It's easier for an all-electric new building to achieve than a mixed fuel building, but both building types can meet it cost effectively. Barbara?
Is this a Zoom thing up in my right-hand corner?
CMF.
That's our Christine, our participant.
Okay. I was trying to see what percentage.
Oh, so sorry, that is, I don't know if there's a way to move that. Yeah, it doesn't look that way on our screens, so I don't know if there's a way for me to get rid of that, or if that's something
you
maybe
just
the
tell us?
broadcast booth can do.
Tell us what
It's
the
9 for single-family residential buildings, and it is 9, not 9%, because it's a different metric for whatever reason for single-family buildings versus commercial and multifamily. Or basically non-residential buildings. So they have a percent better, and on the residential, single-family residential buildings, it's a number, basically. It's a margin.
9 points?
Yeah, yeah. Please use your mic. So on the residential EV side, one of the big changes on the EV portion in the intervening code was around new multifamily dwellings. If you are building a new multifamily complex, and this, I'm sorry, this actually isn't going to be in this table, but I wanted to mention it because it's one of the bigger things that changed. The EV charging needs to be directly wired to the panel for the unit. So you would have the individual apartment or condo's electrical bill would include that EV receptacle in the garage. There are some exceptions for cases where the parking is not assigned, or where they may have the kind of mechanical stacker kinds of things, but generally, if you're building a new multifamily complex, you're going to have the EV charging wired into that EV meter, or the electrical meter for the unit. Otherwise, the changes that we made from our kind of existing or the current EV requirements before this adoption to now are not particularly substantial in the residential side of things. We did expand the requirement to new garages at existing single-family duplexes and townhomes. So if you're building new parking there, that is not a carport that doesn't have electricity, you would need to add EV charging, even though the dwelling is already existing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the, having the EV parking attached to the unit
Mhm.
through the meter, how does that mean, how can you keep someone else from using your EV charger? Or does that mean that it's only good for that unit?
Well,
or-
this is like if you have an assigned parking stall at your,
Right, but what's to keep someone else from parking in your place and using your electricity that you get billed for? Or are you, how, I can see problems with this. And that means no one else can use that EV charger?
well, this is meant for specifically for multifamily dwellings so that the people who live there have access. There is also requirements for guest parking spaces, but yes, this is like, consider this your home. This is providing access to people who don't live in single family homes but live in multifamily homes so that they can charge at their home too, because that is where most EV charging does take place.
Right, and then what happens, who pays for the guest parking EV chargers?
Presumably that would be done the way other public EV is done, where you pay for the use. So like the chargers here, you use an app or you would pay by credit card, per use, which is what I think they're trying to avoid by having the wiring to each, to your own electrical panel or meter, so that you don't have to have that kind of payment situation for your home EV charger if you're in a multifamily.
Okay.
It's just going straight on your bill. I don't know if I can necessarily answer the question about what happens if somebody comes and pulls into my parking space in my multifamily and charges. I don't know all of the technical details of the rather long and complicated and technical state code. So,
Okay,
My 2 chargers ago, my little handle thing had a place you could put a lock through it that would keep it from connecting to cars unless you took the lock away,
okay.
which I needed when I lived in San Francisco. I don't even know if they have that anymore, but people have dealt with this problem before. There's got to be engineering solutions.
I would guess that there are
Or
various
you could lock the
ways
whole
that you
thing
could
in
do
a
it.
box.
Or even maybe turn off the power from
Yeah.
your apartment?
Okay.
And then on the non-residential side, again, not a ton of changes really from what we previously had. You can see what we previously had some level 2 EV ready and some level 1 capable that have been consolidated into this new category of low power level 2 EV ready, which is actually pretty equivalent to what we have out here with our networked chargers that, have a slightly lower power level. We did clarify something that we realized had been lacking in our previous ordinance, where 9 or fewer parking spaces weren't addressed. So now they would need to have 1 level 2 EV ready circuit parking space or charger. We also, have exceptions when things are infeasible and require the maximum feasible amount of chargers to be installed. And yeah, there's some kind of details around where hotels are included between the state code and our code that I don't think we need to get into that level unless anybody's really interested in that. I think that was all I had on this. So did anybody have any questions? I guess one thing I should say is that because this goes back to a traditional REACH code approach, we do have to submit this to the California Energy Commission and get their approval before this goes into effect. So the planning staff is probably going to be taking the lead on that front, and it usually takes a couple of months to get that approval.
I just want to say that you did a really great job, Adrian, presenting this to the council at the last meeting and really answered their questions very efficiently. And you did a great job.
Thank you. Great. Well, if no further comments or questions, I will go ahead and we can move to our next agenda item.
All right, the next agenda item is election of chair and vice chair. Do we have any nominations for?
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
wait, I should say, this has been great and I don't want to do it again. Do we have any nominations for
I
the
think
chair?
Jason's the only one on this group who has not been the chair, so I nominate Jason to be the chair, and we'll have fast meetings.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, I won't reject. Okay.
Any other nominations for chair or for vice chair?
Oh, do we need a vice chair, right?
Yep.
I'm willing to be vice chair. I haven't been in the chair position in a long time, and I'm getting near the end of my tenure. So,
When are we up for, Michelle?
2026.
Yeah, okay.
Are we the same group?
Michelle and I are. I'm not sure about you, Jason.
Might be soon.
I think actually a large portion of you are all up at the same time, but I can confirm that on the city
We'll talk
website if
later.
you give me a minute.
That would be good to know.
So I didn't nominate myself. If you guys have
Oh,
to do that.
I would nominate Michelle for vice chair.
I'll second that. Any other nominations? Excellent. That was very easy. Should we vote on this for the separately or together?
I think you could do it together as the slate of
Okay.
nominees.
For
or
the
something.
for the ticket of Jason Noonan, chair-elect, and Michelle Salmon, vice chair-elect. All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Any absentees? Excellent. My work
You
here is
guys-
done.
Made that quick work. Can I just get a quick, who seconded Michelle's vice chair, that
I believe
Noonan
that was me.
nominate? Okay, great.
It's going to be a very quick meeting.
Yeah, I guess so. Subcommittee reports.
Actually,
Staff.
staff updates. Next up is staff updates. What's been going on for the last couple months?
Oh, nothing.
Okay, subcommittee
Don't
reports.
believe that at all.
You
do
know
not
I'm
believe
joking. I have a quite long list. I will try to keep them fast. It has been quite busy. There are probably things I didn't even get on this list. The library display was updated in mid-June to a display on dark skies. So if you haven't been to the library in a bit, swing by and check that out. The Education and Outreach Subcommittee is aware, but we talked with the library about trying to rotate these displays more frequently, but we're going to be alternating with the library content. So we're going to have, a month or two, and then they're going to probably have something come up, and we'll, try to update more like every 2 months or so, with the display kind of being up for a month or so, give or take. We are coordinating with other staff on the details of how to roll out the trash grabber program that we've been discussing. So I've been talking with Parks and Rec. Unfortunately, it sounds like the library hosting a checkout location is probably a long way off from them getting to approve that. I talked with the library manager, and she tried to run it up the chain, and then apparently that opened a conversation about what checkout programs are available at what various libraries throughout the system, and it just doesn't seem like we're going to get a fast response on that. So we're going to try to do it at our city facilities, and maybe have something at Day in the Park to be able to distribute as well. So need to work through a couple of details with Park and Rec, but hopefully we'll have something ready to roll out, later next month or so. We applied for for Peninsula Clean Energy Building Efficiency Grant and Loan for the pool. The application was submitted June 21st, and we're expecting news any day now. It's supposed to be by the end of this week. We also have the PG&E and CPUC review also submitted. The CPUC pulled that for review on July 1st, so it could be this month or next, depending on whether they ask for additional information. And we're also working through some hurdles on the PG&E new service for the pool, but hopefully all of these things are gonna coalesce in the next month or so, and we'll be able to, move that forward for a construction amendment to council this fall. Fingers crossed. Lots of ifs there. But we also have been trying to work with PG&E to get the Bayshore EV stations finally installed. That has been one delay after another, but they are going to have a subcontractor on site tomorrow doing the conduit. So one tiny step forward, and we're still waiting on a date for them to energize the site so that we can complete that. But things are looking good for it being done by the end of September, hopefully the latest, if not sooner.
When you said Bayshore, you mean the one?
The park
at
and ride,
corner.
sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
Very good.
Alejandra and I attended the California Climate and Energy Forum, and I also joined the Local Government Sustainable Energy Coalition's meeting that preceded the conference down in Palm Springs last month. That's why we didn't have a meeting. It was hot, but very good, very interesting and energizing, and lots of great ideas. I think I have like 15 pages of notes. So I'm going to actually save the PCA grant debrief for subcommittees. Maybe one of the subcommittee member wants to do that one. We are working on the annual report to Cal Recycle and also our building efficiency program reporting to the CEC. Both of those are due on August 1st, so hopefully complete by the end of the week. And I just saw some emails, some news in the last day or so, so I thought I'd pass along the Bayren single family program and home energy advisor programs are going, as in their current formation at least, are going to be sunsetting by the end of October or when the incentive funds run out. So if anybody here or listening has been thinking about taking advantage of those, definitely hop on the Bayren website and check that out. They have an incentive tracker so you can see how it's looking as far as still getting those funds if it's going to run out before that October 31st deadline. And the last thing on my list
excuse
is
me?
that SunShares will open September 1st. Yes.
Just for our public, what do those Bayren single-family home and energy programs cover?
Stump the staff.
Okay.
I didn't look that close at the email. So I think it's the whole home kind of upgrade program. They have various different levels of incentive for a bunch of different appliances, but they have changed several times throughout the years.
Are they income limited? Do you know?
The current ones are not, which I believe is why they are sunsetting this program. You'll remember we had Alero from San Mateo County come talk with us about the program redesign earlier this year. So I think the reason for this change is the existing programs that aren't income qualified are going away in lieu of more focused income targeted programs.
Yeah, I kind of half remember this.
Same. Okay, so I think that was everything on my list. Yeah. Whoever wants to go next.
I just have a couple. I did communicate with the code enforcement officer. Maybe this goes under invasive species subcommittee, but he had been trying to figure out how to recognize invasive species, and he got an app that he's using. Just points his phone and it tells him what the plant is, and he looks at the regulation. He's had a handful of requests, some people with concerns about having them on their own property, and we were thinking about possibly having him talk to you in the future directly so you could ask him real specifics about what's going on. But he's rolling, he knows what to do, and he's, following up if he gets a request. Crocker Trail, we are doing repairs to kind of recutting swale so that water drains the way it should and doesn't rut out the trail. So that's happening right now, finally. We wanted to wait till it was done raining, and it kind of rained late this year, and then getting the contractor going, but should work a lot better in the future rains after that's done. And I was just going to mention that it was on the last council meeting's agenda that we were going to put out to bid the walkway that extends the alley up between Alvarado and San Benito, which is just a path right now and very steep concrete stairs with handrail and lighting. that council wants to consider the Public Art Committee to figure out how to incorporate art. So we may not be building that until the spring, but it does have to be built by next summer to retain the grant fund. So that's the update on that.
This is Alejandra Chase, Sustainability Fellow, just because I don't have a tag. I have been working on the benchmarking compliance for the city of Brisbane. And as of today, I have received 99 benchmarking reports, but of those 99 reports, only 85 buildings have been marked in compliance. So as Adrian mentioned, we will be submitting our report this week, probably toward the end of this week. So I just hope that probably toward the end of the month, we have reached at least 99% compliance. I have been also working with the beyond requirements, kind of calling buildings and talking about the program, because I have noticed that they are not reading, or can I say that? So I have been doing more like target outreach, just calling, the contacts that we have to talk about the beyond requirements. And I have been receiving, audit reports or applications as the days go. So far I have marked 15 buildings in compliance, and we have 9 buildings that are in the process of, getting their audits. And that's it for me.
I'm going to come back to 2 things that are actually not staff updates, but responding to other things that happened first. Yes.
Can I ask Alejandra a question?
Yes, of course.
So we had percents and then we had numbers of buildings. How many total buildings do we have?
100. So that's why I'm talking
Well, then,
percent.
that's easy. Thank you very much. Yes. I think we can all do that math. Thank you. All right. Sorry, Adrian. Thank you. Go ahead.
Not a problem. So I neglected to mention, we were talking about before the meeting, but I neglected to mention during the appropriate time in the agenda that we did have at your desks public comment from Dana Dilworth. I didn't even get a chance to read it. The subject is build out scenarios in supplemental report. So I wanted to make sure that was appropriately entered into the record at some point in time, even though I didn't do it at the right point in the agenda. And then in case you're curious, I have the end of your terms, if you want me to tell you. So we have January 2025, Noonan and Ebel, and January 2026, Becker, Fieldman, Rogers, and Salmon.
So can I be chairman if it only goes till January? Chairperson?
Generally speaking, while your term, quote unquote, ends in January, you kind of have to stay until you get replaced,
Oh, okay.
which is not
So that's why you have a vice chair.
also
I think you can do it.
happened that fast.
What's that?
I would think it should be just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staff.
But if we hear anything otherwise, we'll
Staff.
surely let you know, and
Staff will put a word in for me.
I think we'll be okay.
And water.
That was all. Thank you.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks for getting that so quickly. Any more staff updates? Subcommittee reports and reorg. Before we start this, is it too soon to reorg? Should we wait until we have new
think so.
members?
I think we should wait on the reorg.
I do too, because we've got Anthony coming in, Glenn leaving.
Yeah.
And
We thought that, and we thought it easier to just leave. That was written on the agenda last time, and we thought it was easier to just leave that in case there was any shuffling that needed to happen or was desired to happen. You don't have to make any changes right now. We can keep it on for next time or until Anthony or potentially some other replacement is appointed, but we figured it was a safer bet to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Do you believe Anthony will be with us in August or not till September?
I have not heard if we, yeah,
Okay.
do you know anything
Are
more?
they not
He needs,
meeting?
he needs to be sworn in, which either happens at a council meeting or possibly the city clerk's office, so we haven't gotten the specifics yet about.
I'll give you an Uber fare to go down. Just Ingrid, she's lovely. You know.
It's on Zoom sometimes, so.
I think tentatively the next council meeting is September 5th, so it would be really good if Anthony could get sworn in before our August meeting.
Yeah, I was kind of jokey, but with Glenn stepping out, if we could get Anthony in, that would be lovely.
We can
Duly
put a word
noted.
in.
I'll pay the Uber, I swear.
I have two questions. Getting down the hill's easy, it's just getting back up. So my two questions are, we have a new empty seat. Is it possible that people who applied, that there might be a runner-up that is a worthy candidate that they could just swear in as well?
Was
I
there
don't
another?
know, I didn't count number of applicants or anything. Seed planted, you guys think about that, talk to the council.
Was there one applicant or more?
There was only one applicant.
That's what I
I
thought.
was going to
And
say, I'm not sure.
I listened to, I tuned in and listened to Anthony's interview, and he did really great. It was awesome. I'm really looking
Glad
forward
they made
to
the
that.
right choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so we're gonna be one down. So my second question is not a question, I lied, it's a suggestion, and that is, as we go through this, if we are interested in getting off of our committees, we let that be known, but we don't volunteer to be on any committees so that Anthony knows what's in play. Yeah, cool. Starting with events.
Did we meet? We didn't meet.
we didn't meet. We did have an event that I did not attend because I could not participate. So do you want to tell us about how that went?
Sure. So we did have the event up at the park. We met at the main park entrance and we did some removal of invasive plants, lots of invasive grasses over near the Colma Creek headwaters. And we had a slightly smaller crowd. I don't know if it was the date or the location. We had about 15 people there, I believe, which is still, you know, a respectable turnout, but smaller than we often have. So, you know, we may just want to move back to central Brisbane in the
For
future.
me, I didn't attend because for some reason at some point I had crossed wires and had it on a different weekend. I don't know if the date got moved in reality and not in my calendar or what, but maybe some other people got lost in the shuffle.
Well, we had never publicized it, but we had talked in our meetings about it being a week earlier. And then when I went back to confirm with Ariel, he was no longer available that date. So we had to go with the later date. I think we had at one point talked about both, and I would have preferred a week earlier, but Ariel was no longer available. So that's probably what happened. We had never publicized it with
I
the
think
earlier
it just,
date, though.
It got a little eaten.
So also on events, Coastal Cleanup Day.
September 21st. I actually just submitted our site registration with the county today. We will be hosting the event back at the marina at Sierra Point, and it sounds like there's a regatta the same day again.
Yep, there's
Yay.
the regatta the same day. So hopefully we'll work out the same kind of a cooperative arrangement where the participants would then be able to have lunch at the regatta. And the regatta is not, it's a land regatta, even though it's at the marina. So it's like a festival. And that would be really fun. And then we do have Day in the Park coming up. And we haven't really brainstormed that yet.
I think we kind of talked about it with Park and Rec on the Grabber program. That would be the theme for Day in the Park. I don't know if everybody is on board with that, but seems to be like a no-brainer. And we would just push that program during the event.
Okay.
And I think we should be pretty much close to being having all the details pulled together prior to that. So instead of
having a few more meetings trying to figure out what we're going to do. I think the grabber program is ideal for a day in the park.
I love that idea, but can I suggest we change the phrasing? So we're not pushing the grabber program, we're pushing litter removal.
Yeah, litter
Right?
removal.
Like,
yes.
we want
yeah,
people
I
to
get-
not
yes.
litter.
Yeah.
And if they do, we have a program so other
Yeah.
people can be good
Yes.
citizens.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. I think we should expand it to don't litter and trash in general. And there used to be something called the trash monster. I think it was a county thing. It was a costume. But be nice to check and see if that costume is still available and see if we could get somebody to wear it to walk around, because it'd be an attention grabber that day in the park.
Are we going to have, do we want to have any activity for kids or no?
Oh,
I think that's a question for the subcommittee to discuss. I agree with Mary that it makes sense for that to be a focus of our booth, but I would suggest the event subcommittee probably still ought to meet, maybe in late August or something along those lines, so that we can make sure we have all our ducks in a row. And
Okay.
any other activities or supplies that are needed, we can, coordinate at that point in time.
And we're certainly open to any brilliant ideas that anybody has.
a grabber contest for children.
From grabbing the children, but yes, I
Well,
think
not
that's a
grab the
great
children.
idea.
No, the children to grab the trash.
Yeah, make gamify it.
Be
It's
no
great.
Oh,
child grabbing
yeah,
there.
gamify the grabber thing.
Oh my
That's what I
God,
was
that is.
saying.
That, I,
That's what I was saying.
yeah.
Not grab children, for the record, not grab children.
No,
Children grabbing
gamify the-
trash.
Yes.
Oof. There's gonna be
Okay.
pushback.
And maybe have a recycling section.
Ooh, if we could get
right.
the kids to put it in the right bin.
Speed
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sorting.
Yes.
Oh my
Now
God.
you're thinking.
God.
Oh my God.
We'll save this for the subcommittee meeting. Thank
Yep.
you. And next
Thanks.
case.
Well, and I think we should have the adults do it too, because they really
Yes.
need work on that.
Oh yeah.
Subcommittee meeting, yes. Next case.
Okay.
We could have like a kids session and an adult session so that the adults aren't beating out the kids. Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
That's enough.
How's it going on
Jason
that
is
PC
jumping at the bit. To
How's
get
that
his chair
going on
here.
the PCA grant?
Yeah,
there?
moving on to the PCA grant.
Oh, no, education and outreach, right?
Oh, no, I thought that was education outreach.
Was that?
No,
That was
the
events, but it kind of naturally flowed into education and
under
outreach, and I stole the
education.
thunder on the library display, so I'm not sure if there's more from the subcommittee on that.
Okay, PCA grant.
No, just I think educating on the litter issue, right? We kind of talked about that with the Park and Rec.
We're gonna have to put an invasive one together eventually too. Because that's a new ordinance or a new regulation,
Regulation.
so.
And everybody's wanting to stay on these two committees, keeping that in mind.
Pardon?
Well,
Aaron had asked for people to say if they,
Events and education outreach, anyone willing to give up a seat?
We're losing Fieldman on education.
Yes. Okay,
There's already a vacancy there. Yeah.
got it. One vacancy.
Mary should probably stay on so there's continuity.
Yeah, I'll stay on. Wouldn't mind being off events, so.
That's exactly the feedback we were looking for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of me too.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Events is fine.
Okay, moving to PCA grant.
You were great.
So I'll
do you wanna-
start. Adrian and Jason met with Ben from the PCA Grant Review Board to figure out how our grant application that wasn't selected could do better, or actually, even if we don't go with that idea, how the city of Brisbane could do better in future grant award determinations. So I wasn't at the meeting because I wasn't in town, but Jason or Adrian, do you want to give an update?
Adrian, please.
Sure, I will give an update. So we met. Basically, the punchline is they thought our grant was pretty good. They were massively oversubscribed. They haven't had a grant cycle in a little while, so I think there were $8 million to give out and 22 or 28 or something like that $1 million that they received applications for. So we were not selected, but they thought that we had a good project. Their recommendation was negotiate with the landowner and resubmit next year with a firm price, because a lot of the other acquisition projects, you know, already had some agreements in place. So they were, you know, I think a little bit more certain and actionable than ours was. So, but they thought it was a good project, and they wanted to, you know, see it reapply next year. They're expecting it to open again, I think in May or so next year. And then they also encouraged some additional information on the habitat value of the property if possible. So a couple of areas we can improve, but generally, you know, they seem to think that we had a good project that was worth them seeing again. And they also offered, I thought this was pretty cool, they actually offered, if we were applying that for other grants for that project, to support our application. So that was a kind of cool thing that was unexpected.
And they did not love the seed bank idea, right? Or did you not ask? For some reason, I feel like they didn't like it.
Yeah, do you remember more about that? What exactly he said? We did ask, but I'm sorry.
I think he said that he hasn't seen a proposal for a seed bank, but that it was interesting. Right. I think that's, yeah, I think that's what he
So
said
maybe leave
about
it as a backup if
because
our-
Adrian asked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should that subcommittee go inactive until January, or should we just leave it on the list and just say we're not going to meet again until?
I think I would go ahead and move it inactive. I wanted to keep it on for this one so we could report out, but I think we can move it to inactive for a few months at least, and then we can bring it back when the time is right.
Good. Is there any way we can put a reminder in for spring to reach out to that property owner? Because I think their grant, it was such a short time this year, we just didn't have time to do anything other than decide what we're gonna do. So this year, we're gonna need more time to say, hey, that property or whatever property's been on the market, and
I don't,
are you willing?
I don't know that you should put it inactive. You might want to work through the feedback that we got and get it pumped up and ready so that we don't go
If
through
you
the
want to
same
be
thing.
on that committee, Michelle, then,
Well, we'll see when we reshuffle everything,
Okay.
Jason.
all right.
Yeah, because that was why, I mean, that's how we got kind of shorted list, that we weren't ready.
Okay.
Because it came up and bam, we weren't ready.
But I think if it's May next year, what she said was a couple months. So if we
Yeah.
just brought it back,
Yeah.
May is 11 months from now or something, 10.
Could we just put it on the calendar? Reinstate PCA grant committee in March or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the calendar's for, so. we'll just
So,
add it.
Yes.
next year when we file for the grant, are we still gonna submit the same project? Or would we, maybe something else will come up?
I think
that we
that's a
should
question
discuss.
for the subcommittee
Okay.
in January,
Okay.
or whatever we decide.
I
And
think
that was
we'll have to
purchasing-
see if we can negotiate with that property owner and get a reasonable price. If we can and we want to resubmit that, then I think it seems like a good thing to go ahead with. If we're unable to get some kind of agreement or some better idea comes up in the meantime, we always have that option as well.
Someone could buy it before then too, right? I mean, some could.
Somebody throw some money at us.
Well, a member of the public could buy it.
Yes.
All right, so moving on to building decarb.
I think that's been thoroughly covered with the REACH code.
I was gonna say, okay, good. Open space plan update.
Mary?
Well, we really haven't done anything. Our next to do is the property right off of Bayshore, right? Is to take a walk through and I'm not sure.
Just kind of assess that as the next area that we'd like to kind of update.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's challenging is, we made the update to the open space plan and put 6 more properties on the
protected.
available for for purchase by the city,
Preservation, priority preservation
priority
area.
preservation.
Thank you.
But one of the things that is upsetting is that we have this rezoning that's coming up because of SB 9. And so we really, I would like us as a group to ask them not to rezone the acres, because once that happens, then there is no touching that. We wouldn't be able to afford the property, because basically they could take one of those properties and divide it into two and then build 2 units and divide that.
If we had consensus, are we able to say to council, we as the OSEC oppose the
Yeah.
rezoning?
I mean, that's our purpose, right?
That is our purpose.
It's our
and-
purpose, and it seems contradictory to sit here and fight for open space
Right,
and turn around and have those acres,
monetized,
yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah.
so.
And then the second part of it is, that was also on the last agenda that didn't get addressed, is the sale of the property up by West Hill.
The Frito-Lay,
the-
right?
the-
Frito-Lay.
The Frito-Lay property. And I would like us to ask the council to have whatever funds are, come from that, to go right back into purchasing open space, because that is public property that has, they deemed as surplus. And it was part of the trail system. And so I'd really like us to also support that, going back to purchase an acre and not improve or use for consulting or something else. Just
Here, here,
put the money down and get the property and get it secured.
here, here.
I don't think that people even realize the amount of change and that will happen and how dangerous it's going to be if people are allowed to do heavy development further up above Kings Road. That's a very fragile area and not good access. And as the Open Space and Ecology Committee, this is exactly the type of thing that we should be giving really solid feedback on to the council.
Do we need to propose a subcommittee to focus on that specifically, or how would we address that as a group?
I don't know. I think that this should be an agenda item on the next meeting before the September 5th council meeting.
Second, yeah, we good? What do you think? Try that.
As this chair, I have no issue with that being added to the agenda, as sounds like you're.
I think
done
if there's
with it.
consensus among the committee, we can
Okay.
add it to the agenda.
Good.
I-
And hopefully the open space plan will meet and draft some sort of letter that we can send after that meeting.
Yeah,
'Cause the timeline's short.
the timeline's short.
Well, if someone else wants to work with me, I'm willing to draft something so we can review it next meeting and then make some updates to it if necessary.
That plan, the open space plan update subcommittee only has 2 members, and we do have reorg on the thing. Would any other members of OSEC like to join that committee in the next month? I
Was it-
think Jason and I are not allowed unless Karen's heard something else.
Karen, did you hear on that? Is it still that Aaron and I are too close to that area for? Sorry, put you on the spot.
I asked and it was a while ago. Let me check.
Okay.
While I'm checking, you guys were gonna look at the letter to the acres owners.
Yeah, we were going to do that later. I've not been very available because of some certain issues, and so Mary and I plan to do that early next week.
Yep.
You're done.
I'm gonna read what he responded, knowing probably how you will respond. Since council has decided that OSEC members are not subject to the city's conflict of interest code, recent decision, the usual rules concerning financial conflicts of interest do not apply to OSEC members.
Yes.
Of course, let me finish. Any members may feel that given where he or she lives, she cannot be unbiased about whatever is being discussed, then that person should recuse. but in the discussion decision-making process. The usual 500-foot and similar rules do not apply to these members.
So the person lay with self-recusal and not,
If they feel that it appears that it would be,
okay.
I think everybody on this committee is pretty biased to not let them develop that area. That's what the open
That's our
space committee,
charter. I
that's
mean,
our
that's-
charter.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Also,
that's-
all of our home values will drop if they overdevelop that area. So
But-
we're all financially affected by that area.
And plus
I'm
the whole
glad to hear that the conflict of interest is
Officially gone.
deemed to be at our discretion.
yeah, and the whole city, I mean, the cost to the city, it could be phenomenal.
maybe practically speaking, if it was something that was directly above your home, it might feel like, oh, I don't want that, but,
yeah.
he left it to you guys, so.
So, which one of you guys wants to join us?
I would like to nominate Jason.
I'd like to accept.
Okay.
I'm on a couple hard committees, and that one is.
Yes, you are.
All right.
Thank
okay.
you. Thank you, Jason.
No, you're welcome.
So hopefully you guys meet soon.
Yeah.
Good.
Mary, are you on it or no?
I'll send you guys an email.
Good.
I don't need to go through, who's our,
Ad hoc.
Staff meet.
do I need to schedule it through you, or can I just do it on my own?
You guys can meet and forward what you came up
Yeah.
with.
Okay, I'll do that, okay.
Moving on to Crocker Trail Frog Habitat.
I do not have an update on that.
Nothing.
You don't have any updates?
No.
No, is there any, have we even reached out to the owner to schedule a meeting?
I've only just presented it to the city manager and he wanted more information, so I'm working it through the
Okay,
process.
alrighty.
Apologies.
Because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we would likely have to do some work down there in the October, November timeframe.
Yeah, before the
right?
rains start.
Yeah. So we need to get on that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that Mary volunteer work or asking the city to help, or what kind of work is it getting?
Some of it's on that property owner. It's their property, so we want their handshake agreement that
Right.
it's okay for us to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, moving on to invasive species. We have not met since the last meeting. We should probably do that to work on helping the education and outreach teams and various other things, just to kind of regroup. Glenn, we're gonna miss you.
Yay.
I know.
My first meeting, I'm sorry, this is off topic. My first OSAC meeting that I ever watched, invasives was the subject, and I was so impressed by you. So we're really sad to see you go. I'm sorry I hijacked the meeting for that. So there's a seat on that one. next
Maybe
time.
we can find like a case study where, I don't know if anyone's gone to the level, the complaints have gone to the level that someone's had to remove, but it might be nice to have, an example, a case study.
Yep.
Here's someone with ivy that
Yeah,
pulled it
and I
back
want to
2
work on
feet.
door tags and ways that you can reach out to your neighbor without resorting to calling the city, right? So give levels of,
So did you want to meet in August? I mean, I can do that.
yeah, I'm down. Yeah,
You want to take the lead on it?
sure. Yeah, I'd love that.
One thing I will bring up here, I talked to someone in Brisbane who's a friend who has read the invasive species ordinance and is quite upset because he will have to remove a lot of ivy on his property, and he just up and said, I'm not doing it. So I'm not sure what we do with that, but we maybe need to start thinking about some kind of city incentives or disincentives for people like that.
Ivy was a border one, right? Not a must remove. It was a perimeter.
all protected trees.
Right.
Anyway, we'll get some pushback on that for sure.
Okay,
Yep,
well,
it's-
you can count on that. It's
Yep.
not any kind of a law if you don't get pushback.
And we did put in there at the end, I think, that if there's a hardship, you can get an extension with milestones. So
not a
there's a
hardship.
lot of, there's a lot of things that we need to help the community with. Yeah. Moving on to dark skies.
I don't think we've met. I don't remember us meeting. Did I space something out? No.
No.
Okay. So, I mean, anything going on staff side?
I had to address the dark skies ordinance for bollard lighting on this trail from Alvarado to San Benito. I was pinged for that when I turned in the building permit, so.
Excellent. Is it going to be exciting and fun? And did you have good options for them?
So
or-
now we need to see what the Public Art Committee wants to do because they're interested in some lighting that's artistic. But what we came up with, we've kind of spec'd some bollard lighting that can be solar or non-solar and is not indestructible, but very vandal resistant and nice. So I hope they stay with that because it does meet the ordinance. But if they're looking at something else, I'll have to let them know that they have to comply with the ordinance.
The other thing I think we need is a letter or a templated letter that can come from the city when there's been a request for a property to comply or suggest they comply. I was up at like 5 in the morning the other day, 5:30 in the morning. It was a gorgeous morning. There was a house up behind us that had covered in lights and everything was on. And it's like 5 in the morning. Why do they have all these outside lights on all over their house? You know? And so I think it's time if we had a letter, craft a letter that we could send saying, it's come to our attention that you're kind of really.
Yeah, I worked on the neighbor to neighbor letter. I
Yeah.
don't think I've emailed that draft.
Nope.
I thought I emailed the draft, but then I found it in my unsent folder.
So I'm going to
So,
propose that we have a meeting because the neighbor to neighbor letter and a subsequent letter seems like a great subcommittee
I
discussion.
thought I saw something from the city, an
So
informational letter
we-
from the city.
We did, I
Draft.
did create a neighbor to neighbor kind of letter that I printed some copies of for the dark skies display at the library. So if they're still there, or if the library staff has printed some more, not taken down our dark skies display yet, there's like a little 1-sheet handout that's got a dear neighbor and you got some check boxes and fill in the blank kind of places. So that template is there. I did send it around to the dark skies subcommittee before it was posted, and I don't know that
I saw it. But,
I don't know that I got any comments. We don't have anything as far as I know, unless planning staff has put something together that's like an official from the city to a property owner letter. But I will say that I know that Will has already been talking, our code enforcement officer, whose last name I'm blanking on at the moment, sorry, Will, has already been talking with property owners, including a number of the businesses in Crocker Park. Some of them have already pointed their lights downward. So he's had some success in talking with a bunch of them. And he also mentioned hearing from a resident. I think he maybe told me the name, but I didn't know the person, so I don't recall what it was. That they are already like keeping an inventory and prepared once March 1st happens next year to be reporting a number of properties in town that are out of compliance. So
So we should drop off a stack of empty neighbor to neighbor letters for that person to give his neighbors or their neighbors some time.
so if anybody is watching this that knows they have non-compliant lighting, you've got until March 1st to come into compliance. Your neighbors are watching.
So can I pick up one of those letters and drop it in my neighbor's mailbox?
Absolutely. And if there are
Not in their mailbox unless you send it through the U.S.
Yes.
Postal Service.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a felony.
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
thank you, Michelle.
Alrighty.
Put it on their
Is it a felony or just?
door.
It is
Yeah.
a felony, yeah.
Put it on their door, or actually send it through the mail legally.
Yeah, there you go.
But yes, if there are not copies at the library and you need one, let me know. I don't know if we've posted that on the website yet, but we should.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I'll
would be
make a
good.
note
That'd
of
be
it.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
It should be downloadable, printable,
Yeah.
publicly accessible.
And if you do put it on the website, please do mention, don't put it in their mailbox, because you really,
The felony.
it is. I know, sorry, worked in direct marketing for decades. It's a felony.
Okay, anything else on dark skies? Moving on to tree issues.
How's it going with the tree?
I gave some feedback on our list. I sent that to Karen, so some things got left off.
What list?
The
Remind me.
the list of things that we wanted, she was going to talk to staff about.
And did they finish the inventory?
We have the data. We are working with GIS staff and considering whether we want to continue to pay Planet Geo for their services or if we can just easily incorporate that into our own GIS. So we are hoping to work through that in the coming weeks. Sorry, summertime, lots of vacation schedules to coordinate around. But we are hoping to be able to present it to you one way or another in the next month or two.
Okay. Is it time for a meeting as well?
So the other piece was that we met and talked about, going back to the planning staff that put the ordinance together that council approved that is not kind of satisfying what OSAC wanted out of it. And the last meeting, we talked about the 3 meetings where it was reviewed, where we had Ken Johnson come to OSAC and talk about it, and then it went to council twice. We were all going to watch that, and then we were going to re-meet. So are you guys ready to re-meet?
No.
I have not watched all of them yet.
No, I haven't either.
So
Could you send those dates? I mean, I think I have those dates buried somewhere in some notes, but if you send an email with them again, because I completely forgot that we said we were going to do that. So yeah, I'll do it if you send me the dates, if anybody sends me the dates. I know we found the dates.
yeah, I can resend, yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
me too. Send to me.
Yeah, and trying to dig through Outlook is abysmal.
Oh, yeah, send it to my other email.
I'm not sure if this is tree issues or not. One of the things we talked about at a previous meeting was all of the trees that are getting cut down and what a detriment that was. But future proofing, future planning is also super important. So as we continue to leave so many tall, mature trees, we should have a simultaneous push for people to be planting the right trees for 20 years from now. And so I don't know if that's a tree issues committee or not, but it's, I don't want to let anyone forget that.
It was under the comprehensive version of the tree committee that we got shot down by council, a particular council member person, but.
Right. Well, I'm in the market for a tree and I have no idea what to do, so I need help.
I have a recommendation. I was looking into what other cities similar to ours were doing when they had to cut down trees. And I put in a document together. I shared it with Karen. Maybe she can share it with you so you can refer to those. But some of these cities have guidance in which trees to use that are not part of an invasive species. And
Yeah, we have a street tree list, but I don't think we have a private property tree list, really. Speaking of which, we should probably pick up the work that Shauna left us on the street trees at some point.
Glenn?
I was just going to say one other thing that we should probably do at some point, and I'm not sure how we would do this or how you guys would do it, because it would probably happen after I've gone, but talk with an ecologist about keeping in mind your comment about future.
Yeah.
The climate is changing.
Yeah.
So the trees, that will work, have worked in the past and will work now may not be the same trees that would work in the future, and it might be helpful to see if we could get a read on that.
Good point.
Yeah, the other thing, when we're looking at street trees, I mean, we had, street trees that were approved years and years ago, and then planted by the city that turned out to now be not favorable and some of them have been removed and stuff. So we really need to think carefully when we think what we're going to be recommending, how fast they grow. I mean, look how people think, oh, those beautiful redwoods that are behind the library, and those are ancient redwoods. And no, they were planted in like 1986 and have way outgrown their space.
I mean, I really think Shauna and I did a good job with this.
Yeah.
We just need to, I mean, I kind of left it last with her, and we need to look that over again and
Okay.
sort of pick that ball back up. I mean, no list is perfect, but we did take into account climate shift.
Mm-hmm.
We did really try. And, you know, I kept everything we kept saying, you know, does it drop little things? Yes, it's off. It's off the list. So we were pretty ruthless. And
Mm-hmm.
Should get some ginkgo trees in town here.
Awesome. So anything else on tree issues? And that brings us to Bayland's specific plan. And before we talk about any of those things, I'm going to say, have we heard anything about the timing of the Bayland specific plan or the quarry?
The only thing I have heard is that quarry is likely this fall. That's as much as anyone has told me or been able to share.
So the only thing I heard was at the council meeting under council matters at the end of the meeting that Tyler Higgins had reached out to Madison Davis and asked when they could present to council. And I asked in oral communications, wait, where's the draft EIR? And supposedly that's what they want to present is the draft EIR. And so council's on whatever you call it, vacation until September. So I don't know. And I just trying to pay attention.
So I'm going to guess there's no updates on any of those specific plan subcommittees because we're all just waiting. So I think as long as there's nothing else in the inactive subcommittees either, I think we're good there.
I think we're good.
Excellent. Moving on to calendar items. Chris, thanks for holding on. As you will see, one time annually, we have a OSEC meeting dedicated to, no.
So I structured this a little differently this time because we have a bunch of things that we're not sure exactly which one is going to be ready first or we're going to put on the agenda next. So we have throughout the course of the remainder of the year, a more comprehensive report on the building efficiency program results, the tree inventory, the emissions inventory, the vegetation management report from the contractors, the South San Francisco Scavenger annual diversion report, and I can't believe I forgot to mention that we had a grand jury report on compost that came out that we need to respond to by, I think it's October 9th. And so
Responds? OSEC's not on that one, right?
no, the city has to respond, so staff will be putting together the response, but it does have to go in front of council to be approved by them before it gets submitted back to the grand jury by, I think it's October 9th or something thereabouts.
Ignorant on this. If we have a grand jury report, does that mean we were sued?
No. So it's a civil grand jury. Sorry, I should have maybe specified that. The civil grand jury studies various issues. I'm not super familiar with the civil grand jury, but it's kind of like an oversight body, as I understand. It's civilians who are effectively volunteers for a year or some particular term, and they select various issues to study, and they decided to study SB 1383 implementation across the county. Their report came out just a couple weeks ago, I guess it was, maybe not even. I'm not gonna lie, it's not great. So I will have some more things to say about that at a later date. But we're working on a report and it may come up in Scavenger's report as well.
Nice.
Awesome.
So yes, we've got a number of things coming up in the next months, but not sure exactly what order they'll come up in. We were we usually do the scavenger report in October kind of timeframe. And then generally we would just have one combined meeting in November, December, because we're at the end of the month. We always fall during holiday weeks. So we've got,
Yep, that vegetation, no, I lied. The South San Francisco Diversion Report is always a good one. We do it annually. And after we get all the statistics of how much trash we all throw away, which I still can't believe, though it includes construction debris, so maybe I do believe it. But then we get to just shoot Teresa's ear for the rest of the meeting and ask her all the questions we have about recycling. So, Chris, I think you'd be interested in that one.
yes,
No kidding.
absolutely. Always a good one.
Cool. Where are we?
Oh, yep, where are we?
Sharon, committee member matters.
Was there anything else on that schedule besides that box we needed to see? Sorry.
I think we had
Grand
already
Park,
noted
Coastal
Coastal Cleanup
Cleanup,
Day
yep.
on September 21st. We have Day in the Park on October 5th. I don't think we really had anything else on here coming up of note, unless there's something anybody else wanted to add or.
We have one more meeting with Glenn?
I think your mic's off.
Next meeting is August. Oh, any chairing
Check your mic,
members?
Aaron.
Oh, sorry. Any chairing committee member matters? No. Okay. Oh, go ahead. Next meeting is August 24? Is it 28?
28. I think it's the 28th.
I think it's the 28th.
Me too.
That's it. It's the last time I get to bang the gavel.
Yay.
Woohoo.